find a way to present the world's crisis through the eyes of scripture, the same bold style as he had his spiritual master. There was no shortage of ideas, and he had been saving money from the business for this very purpose. Yet, how could he dare produce such a journal when even learned sannyashis, senior disciples of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta, were not? He never considered himself a great scholar among his god brothers, although they called him Kovi and now Bhakti Vedanta. As a Grihastha, he wasn't expected to take the lead or publish his own journal. But the times had changed. The English journal, The Harmonist, had not been published since before Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's passing away. Now, almost a decade had passed, and the Gauriya Math had been too busy fighting in court to consider preaching. Long gone was the tireless spirit that for 10 consecutive years had produced the daily Nodia Prakasha. No longer were 4 separately located printing press pumping out transcendental literature under the direction of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur's empowered son. The presses had been sold by Kunja Vihari. The times had changed. The Gauriya Math was only fighting while the non-devotees were killing each other in a world war. From his front room at 6, Shitakanta Banerjee, a boy conceived, wrote, edited, and typed the manuscript for a magazine. He designed a long rectangle across the top of the page. In the upper left-hand corner was a figure of Lord Chaitanya, effulgent with rays of light like rays from the sun. In the lower right were silhouettes of a crowd of people in darkness, but grouping to deceive light from Lord Chaitanya. And between Lord Chaitanya and the people, the title unfurled like a banner, back to Godhead. In the lower right corner was a picture of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati seated at his writing, looking up thoughtfully as he composed. Above the logo was the motto, Godhead is light, nescience is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there is no nescience. Below the logo were the following lines. So shall I stop here, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Welcome.
Hare Krishna. Am I muted or you unmute me or?
We can hear you, Prabhu.
You can hear, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And then will I see anyone?
No, no one has switched on their video.
Oh, no one switched on. Okay. I'm glad you're there.
Well, everybody's listening to you, Prabhu, so you can start.
Oh, and then they switch on the video. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Thank you. At least
you.
I can see someone now. There's all these different views, I think. Anyway.
Yeah,
Hare
we
Krishna.
are hearing you. We are listening you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Haribo Sita Anandini Devidasi.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo Maharaji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Have you switched on your video?
We don't do it, but
I found it really great last week that when everyone switched on their video, maybe not their audio, but the video, then I can see you instead of sitting looking at myself. I can look at you, which is a lot more inspiring to me than sitting looking at my face all the time. I look at my face all the time. But I can see Sita Anandini Maharaji on this. Maybe I should try something else. But I can see others because I can see Sita Anandini. Oh, view up to this little corner is a thing, view. Then it's just got speaker. And then, can somebody help me here? It's got gallery, hide self view, hide full screen.
Prabhu, if you want to see the devotees, you can actually switch on to the gallery.
Gallery. Good girl.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Gallery.
whoever switched on their video, you'll be able to see them from the gallery.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Okay, that is much appreciated. Yeah, that's better. Hare Krishna. Tusta Chaitanya Das. Haribol Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Haribol.
Krishna.
Mani. Yeah, it's nice. It gives me some inspiration. I can see some souls out there that we're having some sangha. We're getting to associate. Krishna, Krishna. Okay, so we will push on. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 20, text number 4. So we'll do text number 4, and as we move into it, we'll also look at the first 3 texts just briefly, or to some extent, and that will give us a context for text number 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So before I begin, I will just mention for those who are listening, please, if you would care to, please just switch on your video, not your sound, but your video. And then as you are able to see me, I'll be able to see you. And I would be happy if that was able to be done. So if as many of the devotees could switch on, then I think that would serve us quite well. Hare Krishna. Okay. So text number 4. Purusha yadi muyanti twadrisha deva mayaya shrama eva param jato dirghaya vrita sevaya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. If a personality like you are so much advanced because of executing the instructions of the previous acharyas, is carried away by the influence of my material energy, then all your advancement may be considered simply a waste of time. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this verse, the word Vrita Sevaya is very significant. Vrita means old. Sevaya means by service. Perfect knowledge is acquired from the acharyas or liberated souls. No one can be perfect in knowledge without being trained by the parampara system. So each one of these small sentences is pregnant with meaning. Prabhupada is saying a lot in these short sentences. Prithu Maharaj was completely trained in that line. Therefore, he did not deserve to be considered an ordinary man. An ordinary man who has only a conception of bodily existence is always bewildered by the modes of material nature. Om Magana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Grave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master is forcing me to open my eyes with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto his lotus feet. Purusha Yadi Muyanti Twadrisha Deva Mayaya Shrama Eva Param Jato Dighaya Vrita Sevaya. So it's said that one, what is that? Where is it stated? Acharyavan Purusham Veda. One who follows the path of the acharyas knows things as they are. And Srila Prabhupada is pointing to this in this verse. I'll just go to the first few verses just to get a context. We'll just read them. The first verse is the great sage Maitreya continues the narrative to Vidura. He says, "My dear Vidura, being very much satisfied by the performance of 99 horse sacrifices, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, appeared on the scene. Wow. Accompanying him was King Indra. Lord Vishnu then began to speak. I think we discussed that a little bit earlier, that it's very special that the Lord appears, and he appears with King Indra. Lord Vishnu asked Maharaj Prithu to excuse King Indra in this text number 2. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, "My dear King Prithu, Indra, the King of Heaven, has disturbed your execution of 100 sacrifices. Now he has come with me to be forgiven by you. Therefore, excuse him." So again, I think we discussed that last week, and I'm sure the devotees who have been speaking on these verses have been discussing this point, that the Lord appears with King Indra. So King Indra, as we've mentioned, is a very unique personality, as we all are. Amazingly enough, we're all quite unique. King Indra is also very unique, and he's favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The performance of 100 Ashvamedha Yagyas, it's not that you just grab a horse from someplace and say a few mantras and Hari Bol and it's all over. But this Ashvamedha Yagya is an absolutely divine manifestation of Brahminical culture, where the Brahmanas will chant the Vedic mantras, the horse will be sacrificed, it will be rejuvenated. It requires great amounts of opulence and arrangements, and these mantras have to be intoned completely perfectly for the proper result of that Ashvamedha Yagya. So King Indra, he is born in that, or he takes that position as Indra, that is described as a post. It is like a king. So there's different kings. So it's same that Indra is a king. So this living entity has attained that very, very exalted position due to his past very pious activities, performance of great yagnas, and he's not to be treated like an ordinary person. This is very important. I was thinking of this during the week, that I'll mention it now, maybe I'll mention this again. Atmavan manyate jagat. So the tendency is to see things through our own vision, our own mind, our own intellect tries to grasp what we hear, and we see things. And we tend to have we have the tendency, let's say it that way, to think that how I see it is how it is, and how everyone else should see it. So we see through our very limited intelligence, we hear about Indra, we see that he's in trouble, and we heard that he was in trouble somewhere else, and we hear the like that, and we think, oh yeah, I understand who Indra is. But actually, the Shastra is showing us that our vision is very faulty. It continually requires fine-tuning or completely renovation or fine-tuning, depending where we're at. Lord Vishnu is described as all-loving. The Supreme Personality of Godhead doesn't envy anyone. He has nothing to gain from anyone, and he is trying to give love. Even when he's killing the demons, that act is performed out of loving concern, or it's performed also in the mood of a lila, the Lord's pastimes. And the Lord's pastimes are performed out of love to show his transcendental qualities, attributes, pastimes, so that the living entities can become attracted. So it's to be seen then that King Indra appears, or should we say, Lord Vishnu appears with his he's saying, he's introducing that now he's come with me to be forgiven by you. Therefore, please excuse him. And it's pointed out in that verse that this is the idea of oneness. Srila Prabhupada highlights that in his purport. He says this idea of separateness is not there in the spiritual realm. There's oneness. The Lord, his devotees, his pastimes. There's a what would we say? There's a highlighting of that aspect that we are all simultaneously one. And naturally we are different. Krishna has also explained that very clearly, that you're eternally, we are parts and parcels, not that we are God per se, but we are small particles of that divine Brahman. The Lord is the Param Brahman, we are the Jiva manifestation of that spiritual energy of the Lord. So we're not separate from the Lord. There's no separate identity. This is the material world. We think that I am separate. I am an individual. And we overemphasize that individuality. We get caught with that. Yes, I'm an individual. So we think we are supremely individual. Just like a child. Yes? A child is thinking, I am independent. Look, I can run here. I can do this. I can throw this. I can do so many things. But if we analyze the child's position, we see that actually they're fully dependent. The child can't even go to sleep without the mother's arrangements. The child can't play without the parents' arrangements. The child can't hardly feed themselves without the arrangements of higher authorities, their parents. So in a similar way, the living entity thinks in this way, and we come into difficulty when we think we have our separate existence. So spiritual life means to reorientate this idea and to bring it into proper perspective. Yes, we have independence, but it is minute and it is subservient to the supreme will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, so Krishna is, or Lord Vishnu is saying that I would like you to excuse him because you are a personality, Lord Vishnu, Prithu Maharaj, who is not an ordinary person. You are a Shaktavesh avatar. You are specifically empowered, and whatever you do will set the example for others. So I would like you to manifest this real beautiful quality of a empowered personality to forgive others. So this is the quality in the next verse, text 3. O King, one who is advanced in intelligence and eager to perform welfare activities for others is considered best amongst human beings. An advanced human being is never malicious to others. Those with advanced intelligence are always conscious that this material body is different from the soul. And everything in this purport, Srila Prabhupada points that everything in the material world is enacted under the influence of the three modes of material nature. One who is advanced in transcendental consciousness are never envious, neither of the soul nor of the activities of the soul under the influence of the three modes. And then he goes on to say, if there is any discrepancy, then that advanced conscious person with advanced consciousness forgives. And it's said that the forgiveness is a very important quality of those who are advancing in spiritual knowledge. Because if we're not able to forgive, it means that we are attached to something that's happening in this world. If we can't forgive others, I can't forgive them because I have been hurt. So again, we come into this identity of ourself being part of the material world under the influence of the three modes of material nature. But when we're able to see that the modes of material nature are constantly coming and going, and the interactions of the modes of material nature are there, and someone may act in a way which becomes a difficulty, just like Indra, he's acting in a way which is becoming a difficulty. So what should he do? Now, it's not easy. Sometimes this question is asked, why is Prithu Maharaj, who is a very exalted soul, why is he acting, and why is he not able to, why is he not able to easily back off from doing 100 horse sacrifices? Why is he finding it a little difficult? The answer is that he's enacting the role as a king. So a king is very powerful, very strong. He's established in Dharma, and Prithu Maharaj is doing 90, 95, 96, 97, 98, and he wants to do 100 horse sacrifices, and he is so powerful. He's already chastised Bhumi Devi. She said, why are you chastising me? I'm a woman. I can't be punished. Leave me alone. Please don't hurt me. And he says, yes, I understand all the arguments you're presenting, but I am here as the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to take care of the progeny, the prajas, the living entities are suffering, and it is your duty, Bhumi Devi, to produce. So now do what you have to do and produce. Otherwise, I will show you the power of this ruling power. And she thinks, wow, I better, yeah, I think things have shifted. Vena has gone, and Prithu is here. And Prithu Maharaj points out to her that the first sinful thing, she says, I'm sinless. He says, no, the first sinful thing you've done is not to obey my instructions. When we go against the instructions of the Supreme Lord in his different manifestations through the Shastra, the Lord appears in the Shastra. If we go against the Lord in the Shastra, then we make problem. We have problem. If we go against him in the Shaktavesh avatar of Prithu Maharaj, we have a problem. And if we go against them as Lord Vishnu appearing, as we like that in all the manifestations. So this text number 3 we were looking at, wasn't it? Yes, text number 2. So that mood of forgiveness then is very important in advancing in spiritual life. I've mentioned this many, many times that Srila Prabhupada said, when we come to this platform of Brahma Bhuta, then we will be able to see that there is nothing to be gained in this world, and there's nothing to be lost. There's nothing to be gained. Everyone's struggling, Prabhupada said, to gain something that they do not possess, and they're lamenting for that which they have lost. But when we are able to see, when I am able to see that I have nothing to gain, I come into the world with nothing. We've heard this 1 billion times, but we don't get it. We've heard it 1 billion times. I come into the world with nothing, and everyone goes, yeah, and we leave with nothing. But in the meantime, we're busy grabbing. I think one of the Prabhus last week, maybe it was, he said, I just want to grab. I'm here and I have this strong, I want to grab things. So when we understand there's nothing to be gained and there's nothing to be lost, that we have nothing to do with this material world. Isn't that amazing? We have nothing to do with it. But I'm Poshak Madhav. This is me. I well, like that. Or I'm Jaya Sila and I did this and people should see me this way. We begin to think this is real. So this is quite what would you say? It's a challenge for us to live in this world in a way which is meaningful, where we have our relationships with our children, with our family members, with society, to act appropriately in all of those spheres of our existential life, at the same time holding the mindset that I actually have nothing to do with all this. It's temporary manifestations. Sometimes I play as a child. Sometimes I go to university and get my degree or whatever, or we get training in something. Sometimes I become a mother or a father. And then sometimes, I think it was Shakespeare was quoted, yeah, the world is but a stage and we are all players upon that stage. We have many entrances and many exits. We come onto the stage and then we go off stage, and we have our happiness and distress, we have our honor, and then we are dishonored, and we go through all this stuff. But the great news is that we have nothing to do with all of this. And if we are able, in the Krishna and Bhagavatam, he says that Shrama eva hi kevalam, the whole thing. And that comes up in today's verse, I think, isn't it? I think. Yeah, Shrama eva, Shrama. In text 4, that word Shrama, and in Bhagavatam, first canto, it says in second chapter, the activities a person performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So the amazing thing is that the only thing that's of any value is doing what we are doing right now. We're speaking Bhagavatam, we're hearing Bhagavatam, we're going to discuss that Bhagavatam. And maybe I'll pause in a few minutes. I was thinking, instead of me giving a long presentation, it'd be good if I just give, this is a bit of an introduction to today's verse, and we might be able to get your reflections, anything that you've heard that you, oh yeah, I might take that forward, something that's there, and you might, and then we can go back on to some other points that I'd like to make. So the amazing thing then is that everything else is more or less a useless waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Yes. Brahmanda Brahmati Kona Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. Chaitanya Charitamrita quotes this verse. It says that the living entities are wandering throughout the whole Brahmanda, the whole manifestation, and they're going up and down, and birth after birth, lifetime after lifetime. And then, if they're very fortunate, they get this opportunity of the Bhakti Lata, the bija, the seed of the creeper of devotion. And somehow they get the intelligence to, hey, there's something here. There's something here. We come in association, yeah, wherever it was, we meet this devotee, or we go to some program, and we start to see. Srila Prabhupada said like that. He said, sometimes he would speak at a Pandal program, and people would say, oh, this was Srila Prabhupada speaking, he'd say, let me go and see what this old fellow has to say. In a similar way, Srila Prabhupada went to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He didn't want to go, but one of his friends, we hear from the Lilamrita, said, no, this is a very special sadhu. And our Srila Prabhupada said, my father was entertaining so many sadhus. His father was very pious, pure devotee of the Lord, and he would invite so many sadhus, but our Srila Prabhupada was saying, I wasn't so impressed. They would smoke bidis and do all kinds of nonsensical things. So when he was asked to come and see a sadhu, he thought, oh, I'm not so keen. I've seen so many that my father has brought. But when he went along and he heard, then immediately Srila Prabhupada saw, wow, this sadhu is, and then Srila Prabhupada gave his supplications that, oh, Swamiji, India is dependent. It's not an independent country. Who will hear this message of Bhagavatam and about Krishna? No one will listen just coming from India. It's an impoverished country, subjugated, put like that. And then within a few moments, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was able to make it very clear that this message of Bhagavatam is not to be held up by some political alliance or different governmental leaders and so on. This is the real panacea. This is the real medicine that is the only thing that will bring about a transformation in the lives of a misdirected civilization. Give this Bhagavatam somehow or other, in all senses. So we come along somehow or other. And Prabhupada went to hear Bhaktisiddhanta, and it happened. And then Srila Prabhupada saying, yes, people will they'll see a poster. What was it called? Cross Maidan in Mumbai, come Swamiji speaking. And sometimes they think, oh, let me go along. But then what happens, Prabhupada injects the Krishna conscious, what is it called? What do they call that stuff? Anyway, it's injection, what do they call it? Right? Inoculation, I don't know, like that, So Prabhupada was giving that different kind of religion. Dharma projita kaitavatra. The Bhagavatam begins in the second verse by saying Dharma projita kaitavatra, that this Bhagavat Purana presents spiritual understanding which is free from material designation and contamination, that is materially motivated. Generally religious Shastra book and Shastra, it talks about the three modes of material nature. It talks about elevation to higher planets. It talks about liberation. But the Bhagavatam is not, what is it called? How would we say it? I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's not that kind of religion that deals with a conventional religion, where we go and we pray, oh God, please give us good health and give us enough food and a comfortable position, allow my children to succeed at school, give it like that. We go to God, and Prabhupada's explained this elaborately in the first canto of Bhagavatam. We go for some material benefit. And with the material benefit, we can enjoy sense gratification. So God is like the order supplier. And this is seen in all religions, not just it's in Hindu religion. It can be in Krishna consciousness if we're not careful. We have to be careful also. It can be in any religion that way. But this religion, it said, what is the need of any other Shastra than Srimad Bhagavatam? It is sufficient in itself for God realization because it gives the highest truth, which is reality distinguished from illusion for the benefit of all persons. So this is transformational religion. And if you have to be careful, if you put your ear to hear that and it goes in, oh, and where does it go? It goes to the heart. And what happens? The jiva becomes stimulated. Wow, this is different. This is not just about the same old sense gratification, more elevated. This is transformational. I actually have nothing to do with this material world. What is the use of focusing all my attention on getting a better situation in this world? Better a moment's full consciousness, because that gives us a start in the ultimate goal of perfection of life. So, pardon me. So then going to, so instead of going forward, I'll just pause for a second. If anyone has any reflections, anything that's stuck in your thoughts from what I've been saying and what the verses we've read and what you've read so far. I'll just pause there. If you want to make anything, please just unmute and give me those reflections, and we can broaden the conversation a little bit.
No, Prabhuji, thank you very much for the nice, the discussion you have brought to the very nice focal point is the pure devotional love, which is distinct from material gain, which is normally as you told, in the material level, when a person goes to God, he goes for material gain. But this Bhagavatam is completely free from vimoksharanam, and it also frees the heart from all contaminations of material nature, envy and all this. And and once when we hear it through our ears and it goes to our heart, it clears that vidunati shurit shatam. So that is the word. And so yes, it is distinct from the other all different types of religion, and it is the real religion that brings attraction to the Lord. And in this way, we perfect ourselves and we know the Lord and we know our relationship with the Lord. And in this way, we get ourselves purified.
Very nice. Thank you for that reflection. It reminds me of Radhika Raman Prabhu, who spoke on Bhagavatam very elaborately. And he was explaining that the Bhagavatam is Dhamma Projita Kaitavra. It rejects all materially motivated religious systems. So that's the qualification of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we see that, oh, that is a special quality. And then he went on to explain Nirmatsaranam Satam. He said, that is the qualification for us. So the speaker has to be qualified. That's the Bhagavatam. Krishna is speaking through Bhagavatam. And then we have to be qualified. And you very nicely explained, Abhash, when we come into the association of Bhagavatam, if we give and lend a submissive, receptive ear to Bhagavatam, the effect will be that we will become purified by that. And that will be our qualification. And that is the qualification. We have to actually, how would we say? We have to cleanse our heart and go beyond the kama, krodha, lobha, moha, and all the different impurities. And in that way, and I think we discussed that a week or two back, it's not that we can become perfect overnight. It will take some time. And I think I was listening to Braja Bihari speaking on a lecture yesterday, I think it was, and he was making the point that Srila Prabhupada used the word, I think he said 11 times in a certain section of the Bhagavatam, later volumes of Bhagavatam, that it is a gradual process. It is a gradual process. It's a gradual process. Just like when we're in the shower, it's a gradual process. So if you just go in for 1 second and jump back out, maybe you should go back in for a little bit. You have to, go through the cleansing process. But we should know that if we're in the shower and we stay there for a little time, we'll become cleansed. We'll get cleansed. So yeah, nice point that two sides of the qualification of the Bhagavatam that has the potency in our, we should at least have that desire, the cultivation to be freed from that focus of material benefit and see that actually that is not really what it's all about. Any other, thank you, Prabhu. Any other reflections?
The example comes up of the child, how recent child, modern child, they always think of their independency, but they forget that dependency is all about the parents. That example really attracts us, and especially me, because we never thought the background going on. We are all dependent, but we show ourselves, our independency, and that's the whole problem come about, because we don't realize the background, what is going. Everything is set right for us, but we try to get it, grab it, and then we thought we are independent. But in reality, we are not independent. We are always dependent on someone who is working at the background.
Nicely stated. Yeah, we're not just as you were saying that. I thought you were going to say we're always dependent on Krishna, but you said it even nicer because you brought in. Yes, we are dependent on Krishna ultimately, but in between also there's mother, father, guru, superiors. All we're so dependent. So it's such a nice thing. Yes. Wow, that dependent factor.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think Hare Krishna, is it, how do I say your name? Jade? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nice
Thank you so much for your beautiful class.
Thank you, most welcome. Yeah, please, would you like to make some reflection on something you'd heard?
Yes, please. What I really resonated with what you said is about if we can't forgive others, then it means we're attached to something. And I really resonated with that. And I really needed to hear that this morning. So thank you.
Wow. Now you see, this is the wonder of reflecting back to you saying that. I just remember, I'm trying to think how long it was. I don't want to say the wrong, but it doesn't really matter. Forgiveness. I remember I had an issue with someone for years, I couldn't forgive them. And I dragged that around with me for, it must have been, what the figure that comes to mind, I don't know how accurate it is, was 10 years.
Whoa.
For 10 years, I just thought, why did he do that? Oh, quote unquote, I didn't deserve that. He shouldn't have done this. And I'm thinking all this way. This other fellow had forgotten all about it 10 years ago. He was fine. I had dragged it around for 10 years, thinking, full of envy and wanting him to have a difficult situation, just like I had. And guess what? It was killing me. I was the one that was suffering. And the other fellow, he'd forgotten all about it. It was not pretty insignificant for him. But it was so nice to clear it up. I actually did. I apologized to this person, and I told them, I said, I've been dragging this around for years. And this person had actually asked me for forgiveness. That's how bad it was. Excuse me, my ears are blocked. Oh, I've got some blocked ear thing. This person had actually realized that they had done something very not good. And they came to me and apologized to me very sincerely. But I was so angry at the person. I thought, no, I've had enough of you. I'm not forgiving you. So he was thinking, well, I did everything I could, and he got over it. And I dragged it around for another 10 years. And then I had to share it with him. And I said, look, you apologized to me. And I wrote him a letter, because we were in a different country by this time, 10 years later. So I wrote him a letter of apology, and he came back to me, and it all got cleared up. So it took me 10 years. Hopefully it only takes you 10 minutes. But yeah, if we can forgive, it's a very good idea. So even great souls like Prithu Maharaj is having to be encouraged in that way by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that don't act like an ordinary man. We know the verse, Yad Yada Charati Shreshtas, that whatever actions are performed by great men, common men follow in their footsteps, and whatever actions they perform, like that, right? All the world pursues. With the example they make, all the world follows these things of great men. So in this text then, Lord Vishnu is pointing this out to Prithu Maharaj. If a personality like you, who are so much advanced because of executing the instructions of the previous Acharya, is carried away by the influence of the material energy, then all your advancement will be considered simply a waste of time. Wow. So I had a couple other points I could make. The ordinary person is, as we've been discussing, is caught up by the three modes of material nature, and we live a very crippled, it's called Duratma. I explained that, I think, last week. Duratma, there's Duratma and Mahatma. So the Mahatma is a great soul, broad-minded, and the Duratma is very cripple-minded, very narrow-minded. And I've written here some notes. Devotee is decorated with all good qualities. And I was learning a verse again. I learned this a long time ago, but forgot it. Yashatma Buri Kunape Tridatuke. Oh, now that's another verse I want to quote. Yashatma Bhakti Bhagavata Kinchana Sarvai Gunais Tatra Samasute Sura Harava Bhaktashu Kato Mahadguna Manorate Nasati Davato Bahir. It's a very nice verse. Excuse me, I've got a real problem with my ear. It's completely blocked. So this verse says that all the good qualities of the demigods are manifest automatically, it doesn't use that word automatically, but it's manifest in the body of a person who's developed unmotivated devotional service to the personality of Godhead. So those qualities are like religion, knowledge, and renunciation. All those qualities are manifest in a person who develops. It's not just put on tilak and shave your head or wear a sari or whatever. It's a person who's developed unalloyed devotion. They have these qualities, and they're also described in the Bhagavatam. Tatiksha karunika suridas sarvadehina ajita satravashanta saravu sadhu bhushan. The qualities of a pure devotee. And one who is not, one who is abhakta. Haro is the Supreme Lord, Haro Vabhaktasya. So the Supreme Lord, Hara or Hari, if we're abhakta, we're not a devotee of the Lord, then the Bhagavatam says, where are the good qualities? Why? They say like that, someone may appear to have very good qualities, but if he's not a bhakta, the Bhagavatam goes on to say, Manorate nasati davato bahi. that the chariot of the mind will drive one to serve the external energy of the material world. And so where is the good qualities? Oh gosh, the man. Can you hear anything over there? You okay?
Yeah, Prabhuji, we can hear you. No.
Yeah.
I've got the all the noise people have arrived. I better finish very shortly. They're doing the lawns out here. We're living at Mother Madri's place, and she has a rather large property next to the temple. And every couple of weeks, someone turns up in a ride-on machine. And it was right outside the window, so please forgive me. Between that noise and my ear being full of, I don't know what. So the point being there was that the good qualities become manifest if we poke our nose into the Bhagavatam, as Prabhu was saying earlier. If we hear this message, the heart will become purified and will develop these good qualities, and we will no longer be pushed to interact under the three modes of material nature. And what time is it? Sorry, I'm losing 8:20. That's why these people don't usually come till 8:30, but Haribo. I should send them love, huh? Not envy. Welcome. Thank you. You've come. That would be better. So that other verse I was quoting, I may as well quote it, and then I'll end with that verse, and we can, if there's any more reflections, we can have just for a few minutes. That other verse is Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridatuke swadi kala tradishu boma ijadi yatirta buddhi salilena karichit janeshu abhijneshu saeva gokara. So it's a very, it says, one who thinks himself or herself to be this kunape. Kunape means corpse-like, like a corpse, a dead body. So it's, Bhagavatam says, one who thinks himself to be this corpse-like body made of the three elements, mucus, bile, and air, who assumes his family members to be permanently his own. Now, the operative word is permanently. They're not permanently. Yes, they are our family members. Look after them, love them, care for them. Yes, you have, we've discussed that. But they're not permanently ours because we die and they die and like that. So we shouldn't think them to be permanently our own. One who considers the land of his birth. I was born in India. India, I worship India. Although India is very special because it's Punya Bhumi and it is worshipable. But if you're in Kiwi, don't worship Kiwi because it's just a piece of land. We don't need to worship and think our land of birth because usually it's because I was born there. We want to worship it because I am born there. I am a Kiwi, so it's worshipable. It's all about me. And if we go to a holy place of pilgrimage, simply to take bath there, or in the modern context, if you go to Vrindavan and you go to Loy Bazaar and buy a few saris and dhotis and trinkets for people in the West and bring them back, and you don't go to hear from those spiritually advanced persons, then Bhagavatam says if you're doing all those kinds of things, you're no better than a cow or an ass, because that's what a cow or an ass or an animal does. It goes to the holy places, takes a bath in the place, takes some water, and off it goes. But the human being is not meant to do like that. So enough of me speaking on this subject matter. I hope there's some continuity between the verses. Prithu Maharaj is in the most exalted association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Brahma has been present. Everyone is there at this great sacrifice. And Prithu Maharaj is hearing these words and will respond accordingly to his exalted position. He'll respond accordingly. He'll consider, just like as we mentioned, when he had to think when he was going to chastise Bhumi Devi for withholding all these elements from the people. He said he pondered it. He didn't just jump to some conclusion, but he thought it over very carefully. All the possibilities, this consideration, that consideration, and then he acted. So in a similar way, we'll see how he hears all the supplications of great exalted persons, and then he adjusts. Hare Krishna. So we'll finish there. If anyone has Hare Krishna, Posak Madhav Prabhu, and to Mataji, Hare Krishna. Has anyone got any other reflection or question? We can finish off.
Hare Krishna, Yeshua Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. This is Nandavraj Prabhu.
Oh, Nandavraj Prabhu, where are you? You're in the back.
Yeah.
You're in the background. This is your page, isn't it?
Yeah, sort of. Prabhu, just discussing yesterday similar verse, continuation of this verse. There was a lot of query.
Could you turn your mic up or talk as loud as you can? As I say, I've got this ear thing, and then there's this machine outside. I can hardly hear you, Prabhu.
Can you hear me now, Prabhu?
Speak, yeah.
Yeah. So, the Lord Vishnu brought up Indra, King Indra, and asked him to apologize. And Prithu Maharaj is supposed to accept the apology and forgive him. But it seemed that Indra is getting like scot-free, he's not having...
I'm sorry, I've lost you. I got you right up to there, and I'm losing your volume.
Okay, here it is. I'll come again. Yeah. Prithu Maharaj is supposed to forgive Indra, but Indra, after committing so many offenses, he seemed to be getting away just by giving apology. It seemed a bit contradictory. He's not getting any retribution.
Can someone help me? I can't. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to hear Prabhu's question, but I can't hear it. Is somebody else got a louder?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I'm telling you, can you hear? Prabhu, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Shout up. Well done.
What Prabhu?
Oh, no, I can't hear you. You've turned off. Now you're on. I can hear you now.
Is that it appears? He's telling that why Indra is allowed to get scot-free in spite of his committing the offense.
Okay, that's a great. I love how you've condensed the question. How does it appear that King Indra gets off scot-free after committing so much offense? Wow, it's a good question. I'm stumped. I'm just trying to think that I think we're going to hear more about this pastime. We've still got the appearance of Lord Vishnu in the sacrificial arena. So we've got quite a number of verses it goes on for 27. Yeah, I'm going to suggest that we keep hearing the Bhagavatam. It goes on, then there's another instructions by Maharaj Prithu. So you're going to hear all about this, how Indra seems to be a special personality. He gets involved in various pastimes with the Lord in different ways. And I think it was Devamrita Maharaj the other day in his Bhagavatam class at the temple, he was saying he has 307 or 317 million years to get it together. That was the way he said it. So he's got a long time to get his act together. And the message was that we don't have such a long time. We've got a few years. If we're lucky, we might have 20 years left, or if you're young, you might have 50 or 70 or whatever it may be. He has 307 million years to get his act together. So we could say it in colloquial language, he's a work in progress. He's working on it. But also we have to understand, I'll just say, these are Leelas. They're also pastimes of the Lord. So the Leela Shakti is working also. And King Indra, also, you know that he devastated Vrindavan in so many ways. And I was listening to someone speaking about that pastime also the other day, and it was saying that he wasn't forgiven, actually. He was sent back to the heavenly planets. He was sent back. He wasn't invited to stay in the Braj Leela because he'd been very offensive, actually. So Lord Krishna sent him back. He said, "Now okay, I heard what you've got to say. Now go back to the heavenly planets and continue on. You've got a lot more work to do. You got another 300 million years to get your act together." So we have to be very, what would you say? These are powerful personalities. They're not ordinary personalities. We shouldn't, again, right to the beginning of what I was saying earlier, Atmavan Manyate Jagat. We think how we see it is the absolute truth. But no, Lord King Indra is the most exalted personality. Prithu Maharaj is the Shaktivesh avatar. We are very tiny, we're very small, we're just Jivatma, very small. So we shouldn't get down on Indra. Just leave that up to Krishna. Krishna, in the form of Lord Vishnu, accompanies him to the yajna. So again, we might think, oh, that was a mistake. I don't think little old me, little old tiny me, thinks that wasn't. Maybe Lord Vishnu shouldn't have gone with Indra. Lord Vishnu's sending the wrong message to the people. No, he's sending the perfect message at the perfect time in the perfect way in every circumstance, full of love and compassion. So that's some answer, and we'll hear, I'm sure, a more perfect answer in the future verses to come. So I better get out of here and let you get on with your day. Please carry Krishna with you throughout your day, throughout your life. And I will also try to the best of my ability to do something like that too. And we will meet again in a week or 2 or 3 or 4. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nanta Kota Vaishnava Brinda ki jai.
His Grace Jaya Sila Prabhu ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all so much for your association.
Prakash in the way,
Sindhukoye Bajapatitanam Bhavani Vaishnavibho Namo Namo Anantapati Vishnu Binda Ki Jai.
My apologies, Nanda Braj. I'm sorry this year has got completely crazy. I have an appointment to go. It must be just clogged up. I went to some hot pool the other night. I had some issue with it, and then I got water in it, and it's okay, but I just can't hear through much. And my
No
apologies.
problem. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare